All right, folks, welcome back to Tech News. Now, we've got something pretty wild to dive into today.
Yeah, you could say that again.
Okay, so get this. What if you could turn your everyday laptop,
You know the one you're probably using right now.
exactly, into a supercomputer?
Yeah, no more lugging around those giant mainframes.
That's right. We're talking supercomputer level power.
All in a device that fits right in your backpack.
Sounds like science fiction, right?
It does, but it's closer than you think.
I am intrigued. Okay, so for anyone who's not, a hardcore techie.
Right, not everyone spends their days building servers.
Yeah, haha. So what exactly is a supercomputer? What makes it so super key?
Well, think of it this way. A supercomputer is like a massive team of super fast processors all working together.
Okay, a team effort.
Exactly. And they're tackling these incredibly complex calculations. You know, the kind that would make a normal computer just completely freeze up.
Right, like trying to calculate all the stars in the galaxy or something?
Even bigger. They're used for simulating climate change, designing new medicines, you name it.
The really big stuff.
Yeah, the stuff that pushes the boundaries of what we know and what we can do.
Okay, but supercomputers, those are those giant room-sized machines, right? Not exactly something you can pick up at the store.
Yeah, definitely not your average impulse buy.
So how on earth are we talking about getting that kind of power on a laptop?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. That's where DIMON comes in.
DIMON, okay, I'm listening.
So DIMON is this new AI framework that's completely changing the game when it comes to scientific computing.
AI framework. That sounds complicated.
It is, but stick with me because this is where it gets really cool.
All right, I'm all ears.
So you know how scientists and engineers use these things called partial differential equations?
I think I've heard of those. Are those the ones that describe how things change over time?
Yeah, exactly. They're used to model all kinds of phenomena, like how heat spreads through a material, how fluids flow, things like that.
So pretty fundamental to understanding how the world works.
Absolutely. But the problem is these equations are notoriously difficult to solve. They require a ton of processing power.
And that's where the supercomputers come in, right?
Exactly. Even with supercomputers, these simulations can take days, weeks, even months to run.
Okay, so how does DIMON help with that? Does it just speed things up somehow?
It does more than just speed things up. It actually changes the whole approach to solving these equations.
Okay, now you've got me really curious.
So instead of brute forcing its way through calculations like a traditional computer, DIMON uses AI to learn how the shape of something influences the equation's behavior.
The shape, what do you mean?
Well, let's say you're trying to simulate how air flows over an airplane wing. DIMON would analyze how different wing shapes affect the airflow.
So it's like it's studying aerodynamics.
Exactly. And as it does that, it actually starts to understand the underlying physics.
This is not just crunching numbers, it's learning.
Yeah, it's building up this sort of memory of how things work.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So is it like it's creating a shortcut?
You could say that instead of having to calculate everything from scratch every time DIMON can apply what it's learned to new situations.
So it's working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. And because of that, it can run these incredibly complex simulations on a normal laptop in a fraction of the time it would take a supercomputer.
Wait a minute. You're telling me I could run a supercomputer level simulation on this thing?
Potentially, yes. That's the power of DIMON.
That is absolutely mind-blowing. Okay, I need a minute to process this.
I know it's a lot to take
Got
in.
it.
The possibilities are pretty incredible.
This would completely change everything.
It really could. And that's what we're going to be diving into today, the incredible potential of DIMON and what it means for the future of, well, pretty much everything.
Okay, I'm officially hooked. Let's do this. Okay, so we're back talking about DIMON, and I gotta say, I'm still reeling from that whole laptop supercomputer thing.
Yeah, it's a real paradigm shift, isn't it? It really changes how we think about computing power.
For sure. So before we went to break, we were talking about how DIMON uses AI to learn about physics.
Right. It's not just about number crunching. It's about understanding the underlying principles.
And you were saying it has something to do with shapes.
Yeah, exactly. See, traditional simulations, they treat every problem as unique, even if there are similarities.
Okay, so even if the physics are the same, they start from scratch each time.
Exactly. It's like having to relearn how to ride a bike every time you get on one.
That would be exhausting.
Totally. But DIMON is different. It actually learns from its experiences.
Okay, so give me an example.
All right, so let's say you're simulating how water flows through a pipe.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
DIMON would analyze how different pipe shapes and sizes affect the flow rate.
So it's learning about fluid dynamics.
Precisely. And once it understands the basic principles, it can apply that knowledge to any pipe.
No matter the shape or size.
Exactly. It's
Okay.
like it's built up a mental library of fluid dynamics.
Okay, that makes sense. But we were talking about hearts before the break. How does this apply to something as complex as a human organ?
Well, think about it. The heart is essentially a pump, right? It's all about fluid flow.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going with this.
So by understanding the principles of fluid dynamics, DIMON can create incredibly accurate simulations of how blood flows through the heart.
And that's how it can predict things like heart attacks.
Exactly. It can identify potential problems before they even happen.
That's incredible.
Mhm.
So we're talking about personalized medicine here, right?
Absolutely. We can tailor treatments to each individual patient based on their unique heart structure.
This is revolutionary stuff. But I know you said it wasn't just about hearts. What are some other areas where DIMON could have a big impact?
Oh, the possibilities are endless. Take climate modeling, for example.
Okay, yeah, that's a big one.
Climate models are notoriously complex. They involve tons of variables and equations. But with DIMON, we could create much more accurate and efficient models.
So we could get a better handle on climate change.
Exactly. We could predict future trends more effectively and develop more targeted solutions.
This giving me hope for the future, but let's be real for a second. There have to be some potential downsides, right?
Of course. With any new technology, there are always risks. We need to be careful about how we develop and deploy DIMON.
So it's not just about the tech itself, but also about the ethics behind it.
Exactly. We need to make sure it's used responsibly and for the benefit of all humankind.
That's a crucial point. I think a lot of people are worried about AI getting out of control.
I understand those concerns, but I believe that with careful planning and open dialogue, we can harness the power of AI for good.
Well said.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about the potential benefits and the potential risks. Now I'm curious, what about the future of DIMON itself? Where do you see this technology going in the next few years?
All right, we're back, and I'm still thinking about all the incredible things DIMON could do.
It's pretty mind-blowing, isn't it? We've only just scratched the surface.
Exactly, and that's what I want to dig into now, the future of DIMON. Where do you see this technology going?
Well, the short answer is everywhere. I think we're going to see DIMON being used in ways we can't even imagine right now.
Give me an example. What are some of the big problems you think DIMON could help us solve? Okay, well, one area that I'm really excited about is drug discovery.
Oh yeah, that's a huge field.
Right now, it takes years and billions of dollars to develop new drugs.
And there's no guarantee that they'll even work.
Exactly. But with DIMON, we could potentially simulate how different drugs interact with the human body.
So it's like virtual clinical trials.
Yeah. We could test thousands of potential drug candidates in a fraction of the time and for a fraction of the cost.
That would be a game changer for the pharmaceutical industry.
And more importantly, it would mean faster access to life-saving treatments.
Absolutely. Okay, so drug discovery, that's one big area. What else?
Another area that I think DIMON could revolutionize is material science.
Okay, now you've lost me. What's material science?
It's basically the study of matter and its properties.
So like what different materials are made of and how they behave.
Exactly. And it's a crucial field for developing new technologies, everything from lighter and stronger airplanes to more efficient solar panels.
Okay, I'm starting to see the connection here.
With DIMON, we could design and test new materials at the atomic level.
So we could create materials with specific properties.
Exactly. We could essentially engineer materials from the ground up.
That's incredible. So we're talking about everything from better batteries to self-healing materials.
The possibilities are really endless, and that's just two examples. I think we're going to see DIMON being applied to pretty much every field of science and engineering.
This is amazing. It feels like we're on the cusp of a new technological revolution.
I think you're right. DIMON has the potential to be as transformative as the internet or the smartphone.
It's that big, huh?
I truly believe it is, and it's all thanks to the power of AI.
Okay, so one last question before we wrap up. What advice would you give to our listeners who are interested in learning more about DIMON and the future of AI?
That's a great question. My advice would be to stay curious, read everything you can get your hands on about AI, attend conferences, talk to experts. The field is evolving so rapidly that there's always something new to learn.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
I think the takeaway here is that the future is full of possibilities, and DIMON is just one example of the incredible things that are on the horizon.
Absolutely. We're living in exciting times.
Well said. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today, but we hope this deep dive into DIMON has left you feeling inspired and maybe even a little bit mind blown.
As always, thanks for tuning in.
And we'll see you next time on Tech News Now.